you're going to train self-defense, if you're going to train self-protection, you have to know how to fight. You have to know how to strike, and you have to know how to move. One of the first things that we start doing when we start putting together these combinations is we start off in a fighting stance. From here, she's just going to throw a jab and a cross. Jab, cross. Jab, cross. You can start off static, and then you can move around. Jab, cross, move around a little bit. Jab, cross, move around a little bit. Jab, cross. From there, you want to start making it a little bit more realistic, meaning that I'm going to start throwing attacks and she's going to address it. So from here, we're just going to go jab, cross, and then I'm going to throw that punch and she's going to redirect. Jab, cross, punch, redirect. Now she's going to follow up with a counterattack. Jab, cross, redirect, counterattack. One more time. Now we're going to go ahead and go into finishing mode, means that she's going to deliver her last counterattack, which is going to be a nice solid round kick to the belly. 1, 2. 1, 2. So there's a couple of things that are going on here. First of all, my biggest pet peeve when it comes to self-defense training and in Krav Maga in general is that you learn the defenses, you learn how to deal with weapons and grabs and holds, but you don't know how to fight. When you have to defend yourself, when somebody grabs onto you or when somebody tries to victimize you, you have to know how to fight. You have to know how to follow up, because just because you know that self-defense move that you've worked in class so many times doesn't mean that I'm going to stop right then and there. I might follow up, I might try to attack, and you have to know how to keep going with that. So when you're training yourself or when you're training other people, you have to keep that in mind. So what we're doing here is we're doing just a really, really basic 101 kind of fight game training. It's a simple combination, but it's very interactive, and that's what you want. You don't want to sit there and just kind of check out in your mind and throw random combinations. You want to have that feedback. So what she's doing here is she's starting the attack, right? She's not giving me a chance to be able to like attack her, right? So she's starting off with that jab and that cross. From here, because there's a really good chance that I'm going to follow up with something as well, we're just using a straight punch to start off. She's learning how to address that straight punch and redirect it, but also follow up with a half beat behind counterattack. That's a principle in Krav Maga. We want to try to counterattack as soon as possible. You have your simultaneous defense and attack. This is going to be just a half beat behind because of the positioning, right? So going back again, she's going with that jab and that cross. I'm throwing my shot. From here, she's throwing that straight punch right down the pipe. And without any hesitation whatsoever, she's going to follow up with that kick. If she nails that punch in my face and then follows up with that kick right to the sternum, it's most likely going to give her a chance to be able to get away, and that's what you want. I'm not sitting here trying to go 5 3-minute rounds with this person. I'm not trying to go toe-to-toe and see how tough I am, right? What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to counterattack enough to where the problem is no longer there, and then I can get away. So again, one more time, she's going jab, cross. I'm throwing my punch. She has to react to that. She's throwing that punch and she's following up with that round kick. If that hits me and I stumble in a self-defense scenario, that gives her just enough chance to be able to put some distance and put some space in between us to where ultimately, hopefully she can get away. If not, we always train these fight games. We always train on how to fight and keep going. If I decide that I'm going to keep attacking, she's going to have more weapons in her toolbox to be able to follow up and finish the threat completely. So you may be asking yourself, what's the difference with what you're talking about with other types of striking that I've seen, especially in Krav classes, when it comes to doing all the hammer fist and all the knees and all that kind of stuff? How does what you're saying differ from what I've seen before? And the answer is really, really simple. The answer is the intention. Right? When I'm learning how to defend myself, I have to know how to react. I have to know how to address the immediate threat, but I also have to know how to follow up in a way that makes sense, that's going to keep me safe. So when it comes down to it, it's the intention behind why you're striking. It's the intention behind how you're training. Whenever you're on a bag and you're doing combinations, you want to keep in mind, what am I training for? I'm not training to go 5 3-minute rounds. I'm training to put myself in a better position to where if I'm attacked, I know how to fight back. So I want to jump straight into how you would train this, because that's the most important part, right? So training these things is best with a partner. If you have a partner, you can put in a whole lot of reps and you have a human body to be able to react to, but not everybody has that. So if you're training by yourself, these are a couple of ways that you can do this. From here, if I have a bag, all I'm going to do is from my fight stance, I'm going to throw my jab and my cross, right? From here, I'm going to imagine them throwing that punch, to which I'm going to go with that inside defense, that redirection. I'm going to fire my shot and I'm going to follow straight up with my kick as well. Now, keep in mind, when you're doing this, your punches don't have to be the hardest, fastest, strongest. Your kick doesn't have to go the highest. It's about what you can do. If it's a leg kick, it's a leg kick. It still works. So again, I'm going to go 1, 2. From here, I'm going to imagine that they're throwing that punch and I'm going to go with that inside defense. I'm going to fire my straight punch right down the pipe, and then I'm going to follow up with that round kick. Now, one of the things that I want you to try to do if you're training by yourself is after every rep, once I complete, I'm down and I'm ready to keep the fight going. Because again, you never know. If I counterattack somebody and I hit them as hard as I can, they may go down, but they may not. So I want to be ready to go again if I have to. All right, so what happens if you don't have a punching bag and you don't have gloves? I like to get really creative when I'm training because I don't always have access to training partners, to my bag. I might be out of town, right? So I might have to figure something else out. One of the things that I absolutely love to do is I take a bungee cord or some kind of strap and I'll wrap it around a tree like so. And then from here, I'll take a stick, and it can be any kind of stick. I'm going to use a Kali stick and I'm going to wedge it in there just like so. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same combination that we were doing, except now I have a stimulus to be able to do my inside defense. So from this position here, right, I don't want to hit the tree for obvious reasons, right? But from here, I'm going to throw my jab, my cross. I have the stimulus that's going to represent that punch that's going towards me. So I'm going to do my inside defense and then my counterattack. And then from here, I'm going to follow up with a round kick. Now, again, unless you're just really, really tough, I don't advise hitting the tree as hard as you can. I'm not going to do it, but if you want to, that's perfectly fine. But you have to find ways to think outside of the box. Just because I don't have a bag that I could just go to town on doesn't mean that I can't get the reps in. So again, I'm going to readjust my stick, and you might have to do that. I'm going to readjust my stick. I'm going to go 1, 2, inside defense, punch, and then follow up with that round kick. And as before, I'm going to reset like I might have to continue fighting. I never want to get out of that mode inside of my head. Once my attacker is no longer an issue, then I can kind of relax, scan my area, and then get out of there. But until then, I want to be ready to keep going if I have to. When all else fails, and maybe you're in a position where you don't have access to your bag, you don't have your tree, you don't have your strap or bungee cord, and you don't have your Kali stick, how can I still train this if I have nothing else? And the best answer is going to be shadow boxing. Shadow boxing is beneficial no matter what kind of striking art that you're practicing, but it works even with Krav Maga. So when I'm here and I'm doing this type of combination, right, I'm going to do the exact same things, but I'm really going to engage my mind. I'm really going to imagine that opponent in front of me, and I am reacting off of them. So from this position here, I'm going to throw my jab and my cross. I'm going to imagine that punch coming in. So when I do that inside defense, I'm going to make sure that I cut that angle that I need to, right? I'm not going to reach my hand out too far. And from here, I'm going to throw my punch, and then I'm going to follow up with my kick. Now, the cool thing about the shadow boxing is that you're not limited to just having to stay in one place like you are with a bag or like you are with a tree. You can move around. And as a matter of fact, I definitely recommend moving around because, again, one of the things that you're trying to pick up when it comes to self-defense and self-protection training is that you're always aware of what's going on around you in your environment, in the situation. So when I'm moving around, right, I'm looking around. I'm looking at everything going on around me. And then I'm going off with my combination, right, just like I practiced it before. You can go at a higher speed. You can go at a slow speed, but engage the mind and use your whole area. You literally do not have to have anything other than the motivation to get up and put these reps in, because that's the only way that you're going to get better. Again, jab, cross, inside defense. Notice how I'm cutting that angle. I'm throwing that straight punch. From here, I want to follow in with that round kick. And you really get to pay attention to all the little things that you're doing. When I'm throwing this punch, I want to make sure that I'm throwing my punch good. I'm bringing it back to my face. Same with my cross. I'm turning my body and I'm throwing this punch. I'm making sure that my shoulders are coming up. I'm bringing it back. My inside defense, I'm making sure that I'm not reaching out too far, that I'm cutting that angle. I'm throwing that counterattack. I go to throw that kick. I want to make sure that my hands are still up. When you're training by yourself, these are the things that you want to think about, because going over this over and over and putting the reps in is going to make you a much better striker. And let's face it, you cannot have Krav Maga. You cannot have self-defense. You cannot have self-protection without knowing how to fight. And it all comes back to, how do you train?